Alrighty, we are rocking and rolling. Charlynda Scales, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, everybody. One on one, profiles and audacity, carrying on a generation of good taste. An Air Force veteran brings the sauce. How are you?
I'm great, David. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is an amazing moment, and I want to hold space with everyone here with us. I invite you to spend some time and really just be encouraged because I think that's really what the message is, right? So, before we kind of went live, we talked about Dave Chappelle, one of my favorite comedians, and he has a skill that in one of his specials, I don't know if you saw this, Charlinda, he actually said, I'm going to give you the punchline up front, and you're still not going to see it coming. And he did a whole routine and told him up front what the punchline was. And when he got to the point, he said the punchline, and no one saw it coming. So I say
Wow.
that to say, in Dave Chappelle vibe, the punchline here is that what you see on the screen right now are two veterans that are no different than you. What we've been able to do, you can do as well. And hopefully, this brings encouragement to you because the take home message here is to be inspirational, to be tangible for you all watching this. So that's the punchline. So get ready for it.
No.
um, Charlinda, tell us a little bit about yourself, branch of service, when you served, and we'll kind of start there.
Well, I am an Air Force veteran, and I was unintentional, I would say, unintentional Air Force member. I am a fourth generation veteran. My grandfather was a Korean Vietnam War veteran, and he talked to us about service. I grew up with him, living with him and my grandparents and my mom. And I learned about, what it was like to be all over the world. He lived in Okinawa, Japan, everywhere. When I was in high school, though, I wanted to play sports. That's all I wanted to do. And I tore my ACL in the first game of soccer
Uh
season.
oh.
So I was trying to scramble, put my life back together, and this kid was filling out an Air Force ROTC scholarship application in class. I took it from him out of boredom because he's like, I couldn't, he didn't feel qualified. So I was like, well, let me just see if I can fill it out. I filled it out, turned it into my guidance counselor. She turned it in. And next thing I know, I had a full ride to any college I wanted to go to. I just owed them 4 years of service. I went back and told my granddad, I was like, yeah, you go in, you're like a second lieutenant or something. And he just lost it. He's like, what? You're going to be a second lieutenant?
You can be
So
an officer.
back then, he got the rank of tech sergeant. And even that rank was hard to attain in the enlisted ranks. He was in for over 20 years. And I didn't understand the importance until I'm looking at him and the pride in his eyes that this legacy is continuing on. And I really got serious about it. So when I went to college, I was really serious about what I'm going to do and the impact I was going to make while I was in the service. I served for 10 years on active duty. I recently went into the reserves again. So I crossed over in 2015 because I was trying to do active duty and run Mutt sauce at the same time, which is insane. We'll talk about that. But I just had a baby this past year in March of 2020.
Congrats.
Yeah. But then TRICARE sent me a huge bill. I was like, "What is this for?" They're like, "Oh, your service is expired. If you want to go back in, you got to go to the recruiter's office." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" All right, you think I won't do it?
Yeah.
And I went back. I went to the recruiter's office in April of last year, rose my right hand at the recruiter's office, and went back in the military. So
How did it feel for you coming from, so many generations of service, having to, I guess, did you feel you had to live up to something? Was it pressure for you? How did all that feel?
to be a fourth generation veteran,
Yes.
it's very humbling.
Mm.
Very humbling. Uh, my grandfather, he said, if you can't give it everything you have, you need to step aside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why
Mm-hmm.
uh, my career was I did so well because I just was thinking about you have to give everything
Yes.
at every minute. You give it all,
Now,
and That was from his influence, really.
How do you deal, I guess is the question I'm asking, with challenges? Because that's, it's a friendly challenge saying, hey, you can do this. I'm pushing you and holding you accountable. Either you do this or don't do this at all, right? And
Mhm.
that lesson obviously can be applicable in other places, whether it be businesses, whether it be engagements or speaking in events and things like that, where it's like, okay, this is kind of something kind of serious. I'll
Mhm.
wing it maybe. Like, no wing it. You either give it your all or you get out of here. How
Right.
does Charlinda process that in her mind?
Well, it's just the attitude of this is bigger than you.
Mm,
Right? So your actions don't just affect you, your decisions don't just affect you. At the time, he was trying to hammer home like this is not just a representation of you going in as an officer. This is our family's called the Ferrells. The
mm-hmm.
Ferrell family is carrying on a legacy into a fourth generation of service. And when we put our name on something, it will be good.
Mm,
And
mm.
you'll know that it's high quality. And so that bled into entrepreneurship because I was like, I'm putting my family's name on this. It's
Yes.
called Mutt Sauce. It's named after his military call sign for his ability to blend in anywhere. So it
Mm.
literally got his name on it.
So,
And
so you know what? I'm looking at this on the side, and we just gotta make a jump real quick because you're saying you're talking about it. Talk to me about what I'm seeing since 1956 Mud Sauce. Because again, with that story with the preface in place, the preamble that you just said. Now it makes sense. Because if we just start and says, "Oh look, I have mud sauce," like, wait a second, no. We just talked about service. We just talked about what that meant, and now that transition over, that name is on a bottle, right? So it's not just, "Oh, Charlene, do you guarantee that this is the good stuff right here?" Now people are seeing this here since service, the legacy. That I just love the fact, it took 7 years, but Great Flavors takes time. We hope you enjoy the deluxe line of spices, like that the fact of legacy and everything you have in there. Again, just reading the site, Charlie Mutt Ferrell. He didn't just hand his granddaughter a sheet of paper. He handed her a continued service and family legacy. What does
yes,
that mean to you? Like, that's so powerful.
it's everything. And humility is what guides us, right? He told me when you're doing anything, humility will take you further than money. So we place humility above monetary gain.
Mm,
And I've been in rooms with millionaires. I've stood on stages where everybody was a multimillionaire except for me, and people just marvel that they don't care how you got there. They just remember that you were there. They're like, you were there. How did you know? But it wasn't because I had a super rich family or a multi-million dollar company. It's
mm-hmm,
because I humbled myself and said, I'm
mm,
appreciative for any opportunity to tell our story. Like today, I'm humbled
mm,
by this opportunity to tell our story about our family. The whole story about Mutt Sauce is about my grandfather's dedication to serve his country, about his passion to make a sauce that he thought would be useful for people because we ate it all the time. He finally had the last recipe, the final recipe in 1956 is when he got it right. So
mm.
that's how long it's been in our family. Now, it's only been a company since 2013, started it while I was on active duty. But I wanted to let people know that when you taste it, you're tasting generations of, trial and error. That's how long I was like, we didn't beta test it because our family's been eating it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like it, you'll like it. It's straight from 1956 with no chaser. I didn't change the original recipe at all. I made variations of it, but we didn't change it. We just left it as it is. So people will ask us, well, can you change it to gluten free? No, but we'll make a gluten free version.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Will you change it to vegan? Well, we didn't try to make it vegan. Maybe in his foresight, it was already vegan friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have to change that. It separates, so it's a hybrid of hot sauce and barbecue, is how I describe it. It's thicker than hot sauce, but thinner than barbecue.
Okay.
One of the ingredients that gives it a unique flavor is soy sauce, which is the I think his influence from being over in Asia so long.
Mm-hmm.
But on the shelf, if it sits there for a minute, it separates kind of like Italian dressing. People in the food industry are like, oh, it's not going to do well because it doesn't look pretty on the shelf. You need to add xanthan gum. No, we're not, because that's not in the original recipe. So we've
Mm-hmm.
had years of just sticking to what we know. We've listened to people and made different versions. So you see here we have original, sweet and spicy, ghost pepper, and gluten free. We also have a limited edition bourbon flavor that is made with actual bourbon, not bourbon flavoring. It's actual alcohol, but you can only get it off of our website.
Mm-hmm.
And then our spices, people had asked for the spices for a long time. But again, if we're going to put our name on it, we're going to get it right. So
Mm-hmm.
it took us 7 years, but we got it right.
I love that. I think this is amazing. I have to ask immediately, what is your favorite flavor?
Well, I will tell you a secret, David.
Uh-oh. Wait.
I'm allergic to pepper.
What?
I know.
This is so much even better because now you have to have a chief tasting officer and all that's in place. Oh
I'm so
no.
Yeah. So my palate is kind of lame in that way. I
Mm-hmm.
just But when we have tasting, so this is how our family comes together in this company. He had 5 children, and 3 of them are still living, and they are the quality assurance reps. That's their
Mm-hmm.
title. And when we have a first production, so say for instance, I say we're going to make a gluten-free version, we're going to use tamari, which is gluten-free soy sauce, so we can have the gluten-free version. It might taste slightly different, but we need you to be there to try it. So one of them is always there to try a new flavor to make sure that it's up to the standards of the Ferrell family. And I enjoy having them having their feedback in that way. And also, I also try every single flavor. I take a ton of Benadryl and show up completely high, um, but I get the job done. Nuclear hot either. They aren't. So people who can eat pepper, they know that it's not nuclear. Even the ghost pepper is bearable. We're more about flavor than we
Gotcha.
are
What is one of the, I guess, your top selling flavors that people just love? Like that's the one that just flies off the shelf.
the sweet and spicy is actually the original recipe.
Okay.
And I don't even tell people, and they will pick out the sweet and spicy. Oh, that one's good. As For me, it's like the running invisible joke with me and my granddad that I made the original blue label and took out the pepper so I could have it. Selfishly, I called it the original as a back and forth with my family because they're like, that's not the original recipe. I'm like, well, it's the only one I can have. So
Yeah.
all of the original. But the sweet and spicy is the best seller. It's the original recipe. Our spices that just came out, we sell as a 3-pack, but I tell you, we've got a lot of great reviews on the garlic ghost pepper because people wanted something they could add to their sauces to make them a little punchier. And the garlic ghost pepper is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think, a good additive. So you just add those. You can add those to any food, or you could add it to any flavor Mutt sauce to create a new flavor of Mutt sauce. There was only one you made for a reason because you're the only one who can be and is qualified to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a high qualification.
Mm.
That is the highest of qualifications. You're made in a perfect image for a perfect plan. And the quicker that people realize that, the faster they get to their purpose, to
Yes.
executing their purpose. And that's why I want to help people get to that moment that they realize that they have a gift and know what that gift is and to walk in it. And it's a journey. And I still tell people I'm very transparent. Sometimes I give really great hypocritical advice because where I recognize things that are great as you know checklist items that they should be doing, I'm not always doing those things in my own life,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm in the process of doing them in my life. I don't say something as a person who's attained perfection or has accomplished all the things. I'm a work in progress. I'm learning alongside of you.
Mm.
And I humble myself as someone who just wants to share everything that I've learned. I don't think that you should hoard information. I don't think you should hoard your gift to yourself. I think it
Mm,
is for you to freely give. And that's what I focus on. So all the organizations and the speaking that I do is just to hammer home that point, that you are so gifted and you have so much to give to this world, and I want to unlock you. That's all I want to
mm-hmm.
do is be a person with the key or part of the puzzle to help you get there, to help you realize that, for to help you the light bulb to come on.
Yes. I love this quote here. I don't want to talk about success. I want to talk about purpose. And a parallel to this that I've kind of at nauseum have talked with individuals is moving with intention, moving with purpose, right? Not with the expectation of what may come, but of the fact that I'm coming to this space today to hold space with Charlynda, and just the intention of creating something amazing and beautiful and powerful to help pay it forward. And that means that it will be what it will be. And sometimes, to that same quote here, the success part for some, it's the destination, but they miss the journey. And the purpose and the intention is the journey. Every day that you stand up, every day that you have an obstacle, you go through what you go through, it's part of that journey. And I think that's what we miss sometimes, because success is subjective depending on who you ask, right? It's not for the accolades, and it's not for the, hey, look at me, look at the success, or look at what our revenues are, or any of those things. Those things will come because of the work you put into it, right? When it's all said and done, right? Like many of us in the military, we came into the military, we didn't know how to PT too well, but at some point we got fairly good at it. And the reality is that the reason we got fairly good at it is because we did the work. Obviously, being a business owner, you've met some people. You've met some people. You've been blessed to hold some space with some folks I see here.
And yours as well. I want to thank you for your service, David. And I can't even imagine how the challenges that you've overcome on your journey. But ultimately, success gets redefined. So it's not our place to say follow steps 1, 2, and 3, and you will be successful.
Mm-hmm.
When been through everything that we've been through, sometimes that's just like, I want a peace of mind. I just want,
Yes.
you know, I just want my family to be okay. I just want to make it through the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't need $1 million, and you have all these gurus saying, "Oh, you can make $1 million." Well, is that is that
Like,
going to make
like.
affect you? I mean, is that going to make your marriage stronger? Is that
Mm-hmm.
is what is that going to do?
Yes.
So it's just it's not our place to define what that is for people, but maybe if they learn their purpose, their life will be fulfilled, and that's
Yes.
the thing. I just want them to have a fulfilled life. They accomplished what they're here to do.
There's a point. There's something you said, Charlene, which I think is a powerful point to go back to very quickly, which is using the talent that you have. For those who are versed in the Bible, right? They may have read a parable or two about those given a talent, right? One held it, one hid it, one buried it, one made it with it, made a point and paid it forward. And at the end, when the master came back, it's like, well, what did you do? What I gave you, all right? And removing, where people may sit here, the principle really and the take-home message of that is, we all have a gift. What we do with the gift, we almost have a duty to use it and plant it and be able to put it to work, versus what some may do, which is hide it or neglect it. And that's not the purpose of that. Again, I love how you said, every person watching this, every little girl, little boy, has been made in the specific image. They were made to be unique to themselves, with their own fingerprint, with their own individuality, that has goodness and love and the ability to grow to be something special. And to hold that back, that's the problem. Like, no, you have to let that go. You have got to let the world see who you are, and everything else will fall into place. And I think that, to a degree, is part of the success that you've experienced, of literally just like like you were told as a child, right? Like, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this all the way. You don't do this at all. And you have to just show up and hold space, and the rest began to fall into place. And some might say luck, but no, it's preparation met with time, and being in your purpose, understanding where you're supposed to be, and just doing it. So it's inspirational to show this. And for those seeing here, charlyndajean.com, you'll see information on what she does, her speaking engagements, information that you can find out, some of the great collaborations. If you want to book her as well, here's the link. So you can say, this is how you do that, how you do that right here. The first site, muttsauce.com, again, where you'll find some of the best sauce, and you'll see here the history of how we got here with the namesake as well. 1956. Go ahead and put some respect on it. This isn't an overnight success. This is years in the making, but we also have our Instagram folks out there, so I want to make sure that we all show you that Mutt Sauce at Instagram is where you'll be able to find all the good stuff that's happening, images, updates, follow along for the journey. Here you have more great things you can see, success stories. I love it. My eyes just go over here to the family portrait on this side of the house. I just love this.